Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. Today we got some breakup stories to share. Topic is, why did this breakup crush me so bad? Part of the words of one of the stories. And 'tis the season. The new year's in. Breakups are fresh. Relationships are having problems. Life is going on. It's all good. This is part of life, man. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes you're all around. I'm getting a lot of clients from 2-3 years ago. They had a different problem, and now they have a new problem and a new relationship. Right? So that's kind of interesting. A lot of these people 2, 3, 4 years ago, they came to me with some completely different relationship issue, and now they're in a new one. And this is just the way it is, folks. Some people think, oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? Well, a lot of times you're going to have the same problem twice in life, just with a different partner, relationship, job, because of your habits, who you are, what you're looking for. But all the while, you don't have a video camera on you. So you can't see your faults. You can't see your blind spots. And a lot of times it crushes people. They keep looking for, they did this, why are they doing this? But look within, folks. Look within. Do a live coaching session with myself or someone else out there and get a different perspective that's not a friend, family, or colleague. If you want to book a live coaching session, it's in the links. So we got G Money and Brad on deck. Welcome. Happy New Year, folks. It's going to be a good one, 2022, because it's got to be a good one. What's the alternative? To be negative? To watch the news? Jeez, don't do that, folks. Don't do that. So yeah, the topic today was why did this breakup crush me so bad? And like I said, I have a story on deck for that. I'll come to in a moment. And just right off the deck, right off the top, breakups are tough on people because they surprise them, and it's the emotion. It's the emotion that gets locked up. And what you think is your thinking mind, your rational mind, can find a way out of it. Does that make sense? Your emotions and your rational mind aren't really related, right? It's like, think about it like this. Have you ever done something with your heart? I do that with my heart, my pride, my emotion, my love, my passion for something. And a lot of times people get out of a breakup and they're stuck in the heart and passion mode. But then they ping pong in between the rational mode. And they get in this loop where they're like, how can I figure this out? Like it's something on the internet that I can Google or just feel better. And it's just not that simple. It's really not that simple, because you're dealing with two different things, your emotions and your rational mind. And you think your rational mind will figure it out, but there's someone on the other end that now that you're broken up, you don't know all the information. So you try to put stuff together, but the reality is there's a lot of people using the words, I think. I think this. Now, when you watch TV or listen to radio, or even when you listen to me, how many times do I say I think? That means this is my opinion. It's not facts. Right? Now, some people's opinion you really want based on their knowledge, the way they roll, the way they talk, their background, right? Just be mindful of that. How many times you hear, I think? Listen for it. Well, I think, opinion. Well, I think this. I think what's going on. Watch one of these sports shows on the NBA or NFL, and they got 4 or 5 commentators talking about the game, and how many guys that are quote unquote experts are thinking. I think Well, right on. L. Is it L? Howdy from Texas. Do you still say howdy in Texas? GM feeling good today. Mac, well, this is Emma. Haha. You can use any parts of my breakup as an example. Now, I don't have any of that on deck, University Pipe, but I'll keep that in mind for the future. But your situation is an example of why did this breakup crush me so bad, because you didn't anticipate it. It's tough, man. And one of the things that I was telling University Pipe in a live coaching session we've talked is, if you face the breakup, right? And I'm talking about breakups where you live together for a couple years, you're really close. Now, some people think like, no, we were great. And it's like, you know, the relationship was shallow. They didn't see each other a lot. There's all kinds of variables, but like you lived together, you were deep, right? I could feel that from people. Now, that's the interesting thing. Some people get deep in 2 weeks, right? And then someone's like, well, that's love. That's love to you. But if you're facing the breakup head on, this is a really interesting way to look at it when you're going through it. So please listen. And you're facing it head on. I mean, you're facing those moments where you can't get them out of your head, right? And you're not on drugs, alcohol, or pills. Good for you. It's going to hurt more. It's going to be harder to deal with, right? It's like you're going all in and you're facing it. And that's why it hurts so much. But I read this really good quote from a book yesterday. I got to grab it over here. Hold on. And it says, in Gestalt therapy, the author described law of paradoxical change. Simply put, whatever thought or emotion is completely experienced disappears into something else, and the experience enters a deepened state of well-being. So now think about this for a moment, folks. And this is, I got my highlighter out when I read this. Whatever thought or emotion is completely experienced disappears into something else, and the experience enters a deepened state of well-being. How many times do you feel bad about something and you don't cry? Or how many times, and you want to? Or how many times do you feel bad about something and you don't get it out and you just push it to the bottom? You don't get to complete what you want to talk about. And let's just use this one. You break up and your friend gives you 10 minutes. Hey man, I got to get to work, but you know what? Just keep moving on and keep being strong. Just be strong, man. Right? And you're like, that's it? That's all you got from me? That's it? Right? But if you're facing the breakup on your own and you're going through it and you're having a moment and you're really, really hurt, feel that emotion all the way through. Complete it. Complete it. Talk to a friend that'll let you talk for 2 hours. Write it out in your journal. Right? But here's an interesting other quote from a very famous hypnotherapist, psychologist, PhD, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, Milton Erickson. If you can make it worse in response to my request, you can also make it better. So what he means by that is, if you're able to feel worse from a feeling or a moment, can't you make it feel better? Very interesting. Very interesting way to look at it. Now there's a point of no return on what's the worst thing. But if you think about it, if you take an emotion or a moment during a breakup and you blow it up and you make it worse, can't you make it better? Because you're focusing in on that moment or those things, and you're using a volume control per se. And you can easily, if you really think about it and you go with the energy of the feeling. So this is a crappy thing. I hate it so much. Keep going with it, is what this quote's saying. And then it'll lead to something else. Don't discomplete it. It's a pretty interesting way to look at it. Complete the emotion, complete the cry, complete the anger, complete the rapid fire. She did this, he did that, she did this. Get it all out. Get it all out. All right, let me check in on the live stream, then I'll read a story. I only have about 20 minutes. Got a call today. Okay, so, hey, Mac, working but listening on the Jeep. Hope so. Still got to get a session in with you. Been busy with working kids. No problem, Brad. All the best. Chris the Critic, New York's finest. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Howdy. Feeling good. What's up, mate? All right there, mate. How you doing? Another shrimp on the barbie, if you're in Australia, but maybe you're not. Hope you're doing well. I'm like this with my ex. One of those, it's not healthy to have back, but still miss them. Well, it's all a trade-off, my friend. It's all a trade-off. Your job's a trade-off, right? I'll do this, this, and this if you give me money. Oh, you'll give me benefits too? Oh, I'll do even more. Right? It's all a trade-off. Relationships are the same way. I get this, this, and this if I do this, this, and this. If I take this, this, and this. It's never perfect. One of the most interesting trade-offs is the individual in a relationship with someone that they find extremely attractive, or in some walks of the world, hot with two T's. Right? That trade-off usually goes something like, as long as we are sleeping together, or as long as you're with me, you can treat me however you want. And people don't even realize they're in those relationships until I go, what's your level of attraction? Oh, it's a 15. What's your level of trust? 2. Oh, okay. This is why you have turbulence in the relationship. It doesn't seem to line up too well. But you never realize that the real reason that you're with them is because you're extremely attracted to them. So your trade-off is, and let's be honest, when you're with someone attractive, it's a status thing. It's also a status thing. Beyond just being sexually attracted to someone, it's a status thing to be with someone that's good looking. Or in your mind, highly good looking. But the trade-offs people do for someone that they find highly attractive is very high. Very lopsided. And it's funny because teaching in the university level for a while, teaching individuals 19, 21, 22, early 20s. And the most attractive woman in the class would always have orbiters that would do work for them. And they could be women too, right? It could be both, but they always had an orbiter or two if they were highly attractive. And what I mean by attractive, everyone in the class knew that they were the best looking or one of the best looking. And by the way, I always tell people this, people that look really good, they put work into it. They make it part of their identity. It's not just by accident, right? But it's kind of funny. They'd always have someone that's doing their homework, carrying their books, or just being their puppet, man. It would happen all the time. I'm still doing no contact, but did email my ex and had a small interaction on what would have been our 6-year anniversary. At least she told me to have a happy new year. Well, there's a silver lining everywhere, my friend. Your greatest power in your life beyond just the breakup is what you believe in. Sound cheesy? It's the truth. She wanted too much of my financial support, multiple vacations, motorcycle or car. If it would satisfy that, would have been worse on my end. It's easy to forget things that upset us or red flags during a breakup. Well, right now, University Pipe, you're processing everything. This is what happens when you're facing it head on. Sometimes you look at all the nooks and crannies, the ins and outs, the ups and downs. You're doing a review. You're doing an audit of the relationship. And really, I'd say you don't like what you see more than you like what you see. To be honest, I normally don't give a howdy hello to others. I grew up in the Austin area, so it isn't as common to say howdy unless you're an Aggie or from a smaller country town. I got you. What I would Austin's a growing place, man. A lot of Californians out there now, huh? University Pipe, going into, I'll email you later, cry on. It helps if that's your thing. Call your friends. Don't hold it in. I spent hours on the phone with different friends crying, and it helped me. Good for you, University Pipe. No judgment here. I love you, Mac. You saved me, dude. Well, right back at you, bud. I'm there for you, man. Keep striving. Keep being you. And it'll get better, man. Because what's the alternative? Right? It's going to get better. You know, it's so much easier in my seat when I'm talking to someone and they at least, and this sounds very simple, they at least value some sort of exercise, physical exercise, because during a breakup, you need to be getting your exercise. You got to. It's a broad term. And it's funny because I was just looking at some book. It's called Focus. A friend gave it to me. And it had, it's kind of a self-improvement type book. And if you read enough of these, and I've read quite a few, they're redundant. But they all have a chapter on exercise, eating healthy, and the reasons why you need to do it, right? And it's just funny how many people just disregard it. But it will affect your happiness, your energy, all those things. But during a breakup, you better get that on deck. You better get that on deck. Deep Poetic Society. Have you been on before? Dead Poet Society was a great movie. Robin Williams. So much heartbreak in these comments. I'm rooting for every damn one of us. Well, I felt the hell out of that. Right? All right, let's get into a story. We got 8 on deck. If you are on the live stream or you're just listening and you have a specific question or comment, let them rip. I will get to them. If you've ever been on my live streams before, like I said, I only got about 15 minutes. I got a call pretty soon. But I haven't been on for a little while, so I wanted to catch up. Why did this breakup crush me so bad? I broke up with my girlfriend 3 weeks ago. And right now, I'm just super crushed. Not crushed, super crushed is what he says. I got this place in the relationship where I thought I could break up and be happier single, but now it's crushing me. Okay, so this is where language counts. Don't use these words. You're making it worse. Reframe that. I'm hurting right now. Man, this is tough. Crushing is extreme. You're making it heavier on you. You can change language. You do have that power. I'm 21 and my ex is the same age too. Well, I can tell by the super crushed vocabulary. We were in love and now I feel more in love after breaking up. See, now that's an interesting statement. We were in love and now I feel more in love after the breakup. It's called wanting what you can't have. It's called scarcity is attractive. It's called you don't know what you have till it's gone. Great Joni Mitchell. And this is what happens, right? When you were a little kid and someone took your toy, was it more valuable? Right? If you lost $100,000 in the stock market, did that money become more valuable than the 2 weeks before that it was dormant and sitting in there? Yep. Loss does something to elevate. And if you talk to any of these NFL or NBA coaches that are highly successful, they always say the losing stays with them longer than the winning. Interesting, right? I started going with my buddies, and 2 of them are single. I started going with my buddies? Going out with my buddies, that was what you want to say. And 2 of them are single, and they got a lot of play out there. I was jealous, and after one particular night out there where both pulled some good-looking women, I felt I was missing out. So that week I broke up. See, now that's impulsive. That's super impulsive. That's you. That's where you want to make a lifeline call to a coach and go, hey, what do you think about this? And I would tell you, look, if you got a girlfriend you love and you're into, it's not worth it, because the breakup's going to really hurt you. And it's very difficult to come back after you were the one that broke up with them. So that week I broke up because I wanted to be single and have all the ability to maneuver. As Rollo Tomasi says, my friends actually introduced me to his work, and they told me I was nuts to be caught up in a serious relationship at 21. So I read The Rational Male and some other books, then decided to break up with my girlfriend. Okay, well, if that's... Listen, The Rational Male is a perspective. It's a highly entertaining book. And when I first came across it and read it, I really liked it. I still do, but I look at it a little differently now. Rollo Tomasi is telling you how he did things, what worked for him. Keep in mind, Rollo Tomasi, if I'm correct, in his 20s, when he said his rock star 20s, he was actually in a band of some sort. He lived in LA, I believe, or somewhere in Southern California, which is prime environment to be single. Are you in a band? Do you live in Southern California? Are you Rollo Tomasi? So my point is, if it doesn't line up with you, you can take some things from it, but it's not just because someone wrote a book and it seems like, oh, that's going to be great for me. It might not be great for you. By the way, this is the ironic thing. Rollo Tomasi's been married with kids for years. So it's kind of this really interesting thing that what some of the things he preaches, and he's married. If you're 21 and you're in a good relationship and you love someone, okay, there's the trade-off. Now, what I would tell you is this breakup had to happen for you to realize the value in being in a good relationship. And your friends aren't you. Just because your friends are having a good time, they're not you. But this is a great lesson for you to learn at 21, right? Because a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. So I read The Rational Male and some other books, then decided. And now I'm just crushed because she was a really good girlfriend. Crushed again. And I actually told her I just want to be single. See, a lot of women do this in their 20s with guys in college. This is very common for 20-something relationships. Very common narrative. I just want to be single. You're at a point where your hormones are high. Hopefully your looks are at a pinnacle in your 20s. And you want to be single and mingle. That's honest. The first week we still saw each other and even hooked up a few times. This made me feel like I could have her whenever I wanted. But then the second week she started going out with one of my friends. Cheap move, huh? I can't believe it. I can't believe phone call. Does anyone even have, like, does anyone else have a phone landline in the house? I mean, who does this anymore? My mom, for one. Okay. This first week, we still. This made me feel like I could never. Oh my goodness. Talk about a distraction.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Okay. Some technical difficulties there. That's what you get when you're staying with family using their office room here. Just a moment, folks. Just a moment. This made me feel like I could never have her whenever this made me feel, I'm sorry. The first week we still saw each other and even hooked up a few times. This made me feel like I could have her whenever I wanted. But then the second week she started going out with one of my friends. I can't believe it. I know for a fact that they already hooked up. I'm spun now. So now you're spun from being crushed. I confronted the friend who just doesn't seem to care much, even saying don't worry about it. She's just another plate he's spinning. I had to be held back by friends. Well, here you go. This is pretty interesting, right? So in the same light, this is really interesting because you go, these friends are telling you that are saying that they get a lot of tail, they go out, they pull a lot of women, and now one of them's pulled your girl. Just know when you're with someone, really listen to their character statements, right? How they treat people, what they do in certain interactions, because you're next. You're next. And so, you being surprised by this guy has a philosophy of turn them and burn them, fuck them and chuck them, right? And you're wondering like, well, your girlfriend's, she's single again. You guys are 21 something. Still got milk behind the ears, right? This is what happens when you break up and you did all this for you to have more, which I'm okay with. But there's consequences. There's consequences. And now you're seeing them, and this is your education relationship-wise, right? Because there's not really much you can go back on. Your girl hooked up with your friend? It's curtains, bud. That's done. That's done. You can't be the same now. Now, yesterday I finally got to talk to my girl. She's not your girl anymore because you broke up. Whom I had blocked this last week, but I used my friend's phone to get through. Really crafty and clever. Not attractive to a woman, though, because it conveys that you're extremely needy. She told me I made my bed, now lay in it. I just had to ask why that friend of mine, she said she wanted to feel what it was like to be single. So she just gave you back your lines. Keep in mind, this is one thing I've dealt with a lot of people that you've broke up with impulsively or in the name of being single or wanting to see other people, they savor revenge. And so any interaction you have with her this month, she's going to take your face and throw it in the mud. And she was drunk. She said she wanted to feel what it was like to be single, and she was drunk. So I asked, was this just a hookup then? She responded, I guess. I then asked her to meet up tomorrow to talk. She agreed, but now I'm wondering, how do I get her back, and how do I let go of my friend hooking up with my girlfriend? Well, those are two different things. But I'll tell you this, because I only got a few minutes left. It's like this, my friend. You're not going to be able to dissipate the thought of your buddy hooking up with your girlfriend, someone that you loved. It's just not. It's one of those things you can't get amnesia. You'll be bringing that up anytime you argue. Okay, now, right? You'll be bringing that up all the time. So that right there is like going back into a relationship with a giant black eye on your face. Every time you see that friend, you're going to think of that. When this is the consequences, though. Now, it sounds like if she's willing to meet up with you, she was willing to entertain your call, you guys were in love, she didn't break up with you. Maybe you go out, maybe things go well, maybe you have a few drinks and she hooks up with you again. It's not going to be the same. You're going to have a lot of anxiety about this. You're going to be upset. And she's going to have it in the back of her mind that you're going to break up with her in the future, and that you're not as strong as she thought you were. The rope's been severed. Putting it back together is going to be very difficult. You can. It's going to take a lot of time. You're going to have to start over again. But I'm going to be honest with you. At 21 years old, don't spend a lot of time on this because you're not ready. Right? It's like the statement usually when someone gets a puppy, they got a lot of piss and vinegar in them. Sounds like that's what you got. All right, I only got a few minutes here. I don't even have time to get into the other story. Priscilla Rodriguez. My ex broke up with me because he found someone else, but I think he wanted to single and wanted to date. Possible. Send your story into my website, rightmac.com, or book a live coaching session. We can go over that, Priscilla. Should I continue to give my ex money, or could he be breadcrumbing me? Anytime you give someone money, friend, family, colleague, do it because it's your pleasure to do so, and do it knowing that there's a possibility they won't pay you back. A lot of times people borrow money because they don't have it or they're bad with money. Now, if I have a friend that I know is a stand-up individual that is pretty good with money and their word means something, I've known them for years. You lend that person money and you don't even think about it. You're like, they'll pay me back. I'm not even worried about it. And there's other people in the back of your head, there's a good chance they're not going to pay me back because they're really bad with money. They're not responsible and their word doesn't count. So put the X label aside and ask yourself that. And you're saying, I'm giving him money. Why are you giving him money? So the question is he breadcrumbing you, or are you breadcrumbing yourself? Is this your way of staying in the scene? Because you have the power to say no at any moment. What's up, Chris? Happy New Year's. Haven't had a landline since high school. Isn't it crazy? It's when you know you're in someone's house that's over, what's it? Pops is in his 70s. His mom's in her late 60s. I'm like, you guys have a landline and an answering machine? And my mom goes, and I listen to my messages. Crazy. I think mine was more my trust was betrayed. Feelings you get. I took 3.5 years to get over a 4-month relationship because it was sort of perfect storm of all my problems converging on from one trigger, that breakup. That's interesting, Chris. And that's so interesting because I've talked about this before. You can have a 15, 20-year, 10-year relationship. Everyone's like, oh, they're such a great couple. You break up and you go, oh, that was waiting to happen 2 or 3 years ago. We were sleeping in separate rooms. We couldn't stand each other. They snore. They eat like a pig. The list goes on. Then you get a new relationship and you go, this is just bliss. Rose petals and wine glasses and rose petals. And you think to yourself, it can't get any better than this. And then the other person goes, I'm out. And you go, wait a minute. I was in a shitty relationship for years. I thought this was great. And they go, yeah, not my cup of tea. That'll leave you crushed because you didn't see it coming. I think mine was more of my trust was betrayed. Feelings you get over, but when they go to a level of making it financial, it hits harder. Always ask yourself, golden question, where's my power? Your power is to say no when it comes to money. Should I continue to give my ex money? No. Okay. I think there's more than 7 million girls in the world, isn't there? Move on. Easier said than done, right? Easier said than done. Okay, folks. Good to catch up. Chris, good to see you. Brad, live coaching session on deck in the future. T-Mac, Canada's finest. Deep Poetic Society, thanks for joining today. University Pipe was already out. L, howdy. What would you say to a Texan when you say goodbye? All right, then, little pappy. SMS Productions and Mr. G Money, always on deck. That's curtains, folks. Take it easy.